Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Aviz Network's podcast series, Networking 3.0 Unpacked. I'm your host, Ilona Gabinsky, and with me today is Vishal Shukla, the co-founder and CEO of Aviz Networks. Vishal, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alona, for hosting me on your podcast series.
Yes, sure. Recently, Aviz announced the availability of the Networking 3.0 stack with GenAI Network Copilot. So for our listeners who might be not familiar, could you explain a little bit what Networking 3.0 means?
Yes, certainly. So, to explain Networking 3.0, I will explain it analogous to Infrastructure 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. And with that, I will explain how Networking 1.0, 2.0, and now how it is in 3.0. So think of a Infrastructure 1.0. For any infrastructure, for that matter, you have servers, storage, your mobile phones, or anything which is sold as a hardware plus a software combination. So 1.0 is always about an innovation, a packed solution, which comes as a hardware plus a software and the pieces of application which are required to manage it, packaged as one. And that's more about the hardware economy. Customer pays for buying the hardware and they get a packed solution. That's a infrastructure 1.0. Analogous to that is networking 1.0, where customer used to buy the switches and then the routers, which comes packed everything, and you just plug it and everything works, right? So that's your networking 1.0. Networking 2.0, like any other infrastructure 2.0, comes with some standardization on the hardware, where your the ASIC or the CPU starts to get commoditized, and then the standardization starts to come in the software layer, which gives a birth to a lot of application-driven economy. Now, if you extrapolate it towards networking, so networking 2.0 is based on the hardware is based on the merchant silicon ASICs. So kind of the switches got standardized. And then you have the operating system and the number of protocols, which makes the networking 2.0 based fabric standardized. This was essentially driven by the hyperscalers, the cloud guys, who essentially standardized the protocols, standardize on how they manage the networks using infrastructure as a code, Ansible, Grafana-based dashboards, and everything. So essentially some standardization on the hardware as well as software. That is 2.0. Now 3.0 is all about the data and the AI attached with it. So now if you look at the infrastructure, it does not matter that where your infrastructure is or what application that infrastructure is running. All what matters is the data coming out of it, how you are using that to put it in AI systems to effectively manage that infrastructure, first of all, and then making it future proof for various applications which are yet to be discovered, right? So something similar has to happen in networking 3.0, wherein it's actually already started with Sonic coming in from the open source, more standardization, which is happening. And because of that standardization, the data lakes could be made for a multi-vendor ecosystem. And we are making and bringing networking towards that era of 3.0, which is all about data and AI, not only from the management point of view, but also finding the use cases for future. So I hope you got this 1.0 hardware economy, 2.0 application economy, and 3.0 data and AI economy.
Yeah, so as I understand, the networking 1.0 is all about hardware that comes with a set of protocols. Networking 2.0 is a commodity hardware with a standard network operating system and template-driven network management. And networking 3.0 is all about data and AI.
Yes, thank you, Elena, for summarizing it so well. Yes, precisely that's what it is.
But why the customers should really care? What's in it for them?
Well, to be very precise, we have summarized this in 3 C's: choices, control, and cost effectiveness. So if you start doing the standardization of any sort, right, that essentially enables a lot of choices for the customer. Now, think of it in these cases, there are choices for the hardware as well as choices for the network operating system. Now, if you standardize things on the data lake and standardize the operations of that using the data which is coming from multiple networks, essentially you have now a lot of choices, which means a lot of choices from switches, a lot of choices from ASICs, and a lot of choices from network operating system. So a lot of choices. Now with the choices comes the control. Now customers can actually control their network the way they want to control it. And control is very important. You see what happened in COVID era. There was a huge push on the digitization, but at the same point of time, there was not enough supply for the switches. And actually, who was in control? The vendors were in control. Customers were not in control. So with the choices coming in, the customer gets into the control, and they can actually decide what is right for their data center and for their infrastructure edge or wherever they are putting the networks. Now, with the choices and control comes the third natural next step, which is the cost effectiveness. So of course, once you have a lot of choices, a lot of control, then of course you can go up to 30-40% of saving. And we have done this thing for a lot of customers. So we know how to save by providing the choices and control to the customers, 30 to 40% savings in their infrastructure. So summarized, 3 Cs.
Yeah, I really like the 3C value propositions: choices, control, and cost savings. It's easy to remember. So now, can you elaborate a little bit on the role of AI in Networking 3.0 and how does it really fit with Network Copilot?
Yes, certainly. So I see it in 2 dimensions. The first dimension is making the networking ready for AI workload, which essentially also known as AI fabrics. Having your networking stack, which can be multi-vendor, so that you are not dependent on a single vendor, but still it can help you make the AI fabric, which means understanding of end-to-end RDMA over converged Ethernet, PFC, ECN, and the right quality of service and the buffering in the ASIC, right? So essentially, that's the first use of the AI and the networking. So you need to make a network which can host your AI applications. The second one is essentially using the AI to efficiently manage your network, and that's where the LLM-driven Copilot comes into the picture, and they can help you to in pretty much all the places. Now you can say that you have automation in the place, but automation is not enough if actually you compare on what LLMs can do. You have 7 billion parameters which actually a LLM can take care. If you talk about Mistral, how much of automation can take care of that? Use cases like upgrade compliance, checking your compliance metrics, and then predicting your trans receivers, and a daily troubleshooting and everything. Yes, it can be done by automation, but can it be future proof with those automation? No. So really, I mean, AI is impacting the networks in 2 different ways. One is actually networks are being designed for the AI fabrics, for the AI workload. And the second one is AI being used to manage those networks. So customers should think AI in 2 different dimensions.
Yeah, this is definitely very interesting. And I'm sure it's also very interesting for our customers. What recommendations do you have for getting started?
Well, so, I'll again talk about 2 dimensions. One is the bottoms up of the stack. So if you are looking for upgrading your networks to the higher and better speeds and feeds, so that's where you can start with the multi-vendor networks, introducing Sonic, and learn that how you can have up to 40% of saving out of that 3 Cs, while increasing the choices and the control. So that's one way of doing it. And trust me, I mean, we see customer from all different verticals. So it does not matter what kind of your network it is. Sonic applies everywhere, and this basically you can talk to us, figure out that your protocol supports there or not. So that's the bottoms up. Now talk about the tops down. Top down means that you insert the generative AI based Copilot in your existing network. You don't have to have Sonic or anything like that. Just to start with AI on top. Build the use cases, do the TCO saving and the return of investments or using that AI, and then slowly go down the stack to change or to insert more choices in your network, which eventually will take you towards the cost savings and up to 30 to 40 or 50%, even in some cases, if you have the application. So essentially, where to start? Start with Aviz network, and we'll suggest you that, you should start bottoms up approach or a top down approach. Both approaches are viable.
Well, Vishal, thank you for sharing your insights and the exciting developments. It's clear that Networking 3.0 has a lot of potential to transform the industry, and we look forward to seeing how it unfolds. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Elona, for having me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll talk about AI Fabric, data-driven network applications, copilots, and so much more.